God damn it.
I want the truth. You can't handle the truth. Take the truth. No, set you free.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Face the Truth. I'm really excited to talk with my guest this week. I've been a fan for a while. She is, when I say, and this is, I'm not blowing smoke up her ass. This is, in all seriousness, I'm intimidated by her comedy because it's just so natural and so raw, and it feels so genuine. And every time I see her do bits, and even her little videos, she does videos on Instagram that just crack me up. It's intimidating because, as many of you know, I've dipped my toe into comedy. I'm very new at it, but when I see what she's doing, it's like, whoa! I feel bad for anybody that has to come after her. Her comedy is awesome. She's been in lots of movies, and you've seen her on Jimmy Fallon and all over the place. She's hilarious. She's so well, that's my kid crying. She's very upset that Jessica's doing this. Anyways, everyone, please welcome Jessica Kirson.
Oh, thank you, Jason. That was so sweet. And I get it with the kids. You know, I have little ones here. It's constant.
Yeah, you have 4 daughters as well, right?
I do. I have one with my ex who doesn't live with me, lives near me. She's 14. And then I have 3 little girls here. So it's like, it just can't be quiet. I mean, you know, every time I do a podcast or whatever, you just hear screaming in the background.
Yeah, I totally relate.
Screaming.
Excuse me. I have 2 teenagers, and so I have a 17-year-old and a 14-year-old, and a 3-year-old and an 8-month-old.
Oh my God, you're like me. This is hilarious. I mean, I have twin 20-month-olds and a 5-year-old.
Wow. That's crazy. That is a lot. That's a lot to handle. And how's that been with that's the hardest part about this whole pandy thing is that for me, I mean, I'm used to being in my studio all the time anyway, so it's not weird for me to be locked into my house, but the kid thing has been crazy. Has that been crazy for you? Like just trying to
I mean, the truth is, and people can take this however they want. I love my kids, but I don't love kids.
Yeah.
So, and you know, it's a lot. I mean, I love them, but I'm selfish and I'm lazy, and I work on that all the time. But you know, it's not just about you when you have one, especially 3 little ones at home. It's not just like, oh, I can go relax or I can go make a call or I can, you know, everything is dependent on them.
Yeah.
So it changes every minute.
No, it does. And that's so funny because that's so true. I mean, I tend to like some kids, but even when it comes to people, like, I can't stand people. People drive me crazy, like all the time. I'm so disappointed, and just going for a walk or a drive, I'm like, I feel like this grumpy old man complaining all the time. I come home, I'm like, this guy. I just have like my friends, and I care about them, and everyone else is just get the fuck out of my life.
Well, that's why you'll be a great comic, because you can't love people and be a great comic. I mean, some people can say you can, but unless you're just writing on the surface and you're not really getting into the deep shit. But I want to love people. I was brought up, like, I know as a child, I was a people person. I was supposed to love people, and I, you know, tried to help people all the time. And then I realized that so many people are just horrific, and it's disappointing. But you just, like you said, you find the ones that you can connect with. And then the older I get, the more I just don't need a ton of people in my life.
Yeah. And it's I mean, it's funny because it is ridiculous how people just it's total ammunition, I should say, for comedy, because I mean, you can't go to the grocery store without some stupid thing happening or someone acting a certain way. It's just interesting. And I find it like, it's one of those things where for someone like you that's doing it all the time, I mean, before this whole thing happened, you were probably going out every single night.
Yeah, for
So
years.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so is that something that you would, I mean, I guess what I would want to kind of jump into, if you don't mind, is and part of the reason why I wanted to talk to you on this is the art of comedy, because there is so many different, just like painters, there's so many different techniques and different ways that an artist can create a painting. But I've learned from comedy and comedians that everyone does something different.
Mhm.
And are you one of those comics that experiences some crazy person at the grocery store and then you get up that night and you just can go riff on it?
Yeah.
Oh,
That's how I come up with material, because I just, first of all, I want to say that I've had a lot of those lately where I'm driving and someone will just literally, I'm not doing anything. I'm not saying it. I don't do anything wrong. Like I might turn on my blinker, and then, go in front of someone, but it's okay. But then they'll just honk and give me the finger. And I'm like, first of all, it's insane. Like the reactions from people
yeah.
lately are insane because everyone's freaking out and having a nervous breakdown. And also, I will chase them. Like I get enraged. And I'm like, how dare you, talk to me like that or give me the finger? Like and then they can just drive away and get away with it. And it
Hmm.
happens in stores. And it's touchy now because people are so angry and miserable and scared. So it's like
Yeah.
really heightened right now. So I'm thinking I'm going to get into I got to watch it because it happened the other day in a parking lot. A woman gave me the finger and I drove up right next to her and turned the window down. And I said, "Did you just give me the finger?" And she goes, "Yeah, fuck you." And I went crazy on her. And then she went crazy on me. And then she was following me around
Oh my
the
God.
parking lot, and I called the cops. She was out of her mind. But I could get shot. Like you have to be careful.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially
And
here in Chicago, that's the one thing that you have to kind of worry about because there's
yeah.
so many shootings on a regular basis.
Oh yeah. And then with stand up, what happened was that would happen to me, and then that night, just like you said, I would go on stage and vent about it and talk
Yeah.
about it and make it funny, and a lot of times turn it into a bit. And now there's no way of doing that. Like last night I did a Zoom show with a club in San Francisco, and it's tough.
How does that work?
Tough. I mean,
I,
I feel like I have to do them sometimes just to keep myself going and like in it,
yeah.
just for me personally. But it's very hard to tell if a joke will work or not. And also, it only works with me with like my one-liners or like set up punch, where that's not most of what I do. Most of what I do is character stuff and all different silly
Yeah.
things, and I can't do that on Zoom. I can't try stuff out.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing that it's crazy about all this is like, for me, like I was just getting into it before all this for about a year.
Yeah.
And I don't get to, I don't have the way of going out every single night because of the kids and everything else
Right.
anyways, but I was going 2-3 nights a week and I was having a blast, and I was getting better, and I was having a lot more fun, and
Mhm.
really working on the material, and then everything just stopped. And
I know.
since it's March was the last time. And I've been invited to do those things by some local Chicago people, and I just don't feel like I had enough built up already, just experience to do these Zoom things. It just feels so awkward. Like I feel like part of my own experience is I need the crowd. I need
I
that.
do too.
Like,
Yeah. I mean,
I,
I have to come up with new material because I'll be going on, I'm doing some road stuff and I'll be doing a lot
mhm.
eventually. So I have to come up with new jokes. So I mean, even if I can get one a week, it doesn't matter. Just something
Yeah,
to add to but if I were in your position where I was just starting out and I wasn't really comfortable, I would not
yeah.
be comfortable doing Zoom shows at all.
No, no, and I feed off of like the few times I've done it. The crowd is, uh, if the crowd was not there, I wouldn't be able to react the way, I
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to be funny. I need the reaction. So I don't understand how it can work. Like the Zoom thing just seems a little bit strange, but I mean,
Yeah. It
it,
only works with jokes.
yeah,
For me, it only like you know, if I say da 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 like that, I can see if I'll get a laugh from. But if I'm trying out a bit or it's just impossible.
Yeah, that to being like working on a new idea on the Zoom thing, like people, it's just
Yeah,
gonna be crickets, like so awkward. It's so weird, and you know
so
what?
awkward.
I think it would make you feel it's already one of those things where you're vulnerable and putting yourself out there, and that's almost just like self torture. I mean, like it
Yeah,
makes it way worse.
yeah.
Um, I
I mean, then I'm just doing it because everyone's different. Now, if I don't do anything for months, I will get incredible stage fright again. I'm in my
mm,
22nd year, and I still can say that. I need to keep
yeah,
doing it. And I also, for my mental health, like I get very depressed and
yeah,
anxious and down. And if I don't, just connecting, even if it's a little bit on a Zoom show, helps me.
yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one thing I was going to ask is like, so you haven't been able to do any shows at all, like real shows since
No, I've
everything?
done some. Yeah,
A couple.
I've been like last month, I did Philly for a weekend. I was in Baltimore for a weekend. I'm going to, uh, Washington State soon. Like Shane Gillis just sent me a message last night. Do you want to do a night in Philly with me? Like I'm starting to do, some people aren't doing anything.
Yeah,
There's comics who are putting other comics down for working, which I think is insane. It's like, I have 4 children. I don't give a
yeah,
shit what you think about me working. Like I don't,
yeah.
you
You
don't have
gotta,
any
yeah,
kids. You're fucking staying home and smoking pot all day and you have no bills. So
yeah,
don't tell me when I should work and when I can and can't. But
yeah,
I'm very careful. It's all socially distanced and I literally don't go near anyone. I mean, I literally go into the green room, go on stage, go back to the green room and leave.
yeah.
So there's no one around me.
That's great too. You don't have to talk to anybody.
Yeah, I mean, I hate talking. Small talk is the worst.
Oh man, that's it. It. I was wondering like how you've, your process during this whole thing. Have you just, in order to kind of keep things going and keep the, I mean, are you constantly just writing everything down, and then do you kind of just walk around and talk to yourself? And I mean, how do you work on? Because like, for example,
Very hard.
like a couple years ago or whatever it was, Ellen did a stand-up thing, and I was thinking, how in the world does this woman do a stand-up show when she's got her show and
Mhm.
all the things that she's doing? Like, I don't see her going to the clubs and working on her material, getting
No,
her,
she
you
didn't.
know,
Ellen
she,
has 20 writers. So
oh,
if
okay.
if you or I had even 5 writers, I
Yeah.
would have a new hour within a month or two. I
So
mean,
that's what it was like.
yeah,
Okay.
they all have not all of them, I shouldn't say that, but a lot have writers, and it's
That
like
makes sense.
they know their voice. Like the people that write for Ellen will know her voice. They'll know kind of what she will and won't
Okay.
talk about, and
That's
then
interesting.
yeah, they it's great. I mean, when you get to that level and you can pay people to help you
But it's
because
still crazy that she didn't go work it out anywhere. She just, bam, here's a special. You know what I
well,
mean?
that's
Like,
why some of it was good and some of it wasn't.
yeah.
But she's so seasoned
Mm,
that it's like when I've gotten up after months of just doing Zoom things or whatever, it still comes right back to me. It's because I've been
yeah.
doing it for and she's been doing it what I don't even know 35, 40 years. I mean, I'm in my 22nd year. She's been doing it much longer than me. So,
Mm,
um, but yeah, I mean, her stuff is also she has a good shtick. Like it's very relatable, clean, fun, kind of, and mine is more dark. It's more from my personal
mhm.
experiences, and I talk a lot about my life and my personal. Like she doesn't talk about that, so it's easier to do
Yeah.
material about stuff that's safe.
Yeah, but that's what I love about, I relate to your comedy more because that's it makes me laugh. I mean, it's just like I love the uncomfortableness. I love making people feel uncomfortable. That's one thing I love about your videos you do. Like when you'll sit next to someone and just start crying. That is
Yeah,
fucking hilarious. I do that kind of stuff, but
yeah,
I don't video it. But I'm weird like that. Like I'll go in an airport and just do something strange or whatever, and my wife's like, "What? Stop! What are you doing?" I'm like,
yeah.
"It's so funny," but like it's a way to like just express myself. And
Mhm.
I think when I see you do those things, it's the best thing in the world. One of my favorites was, um, you looked like you were like in some outdoor mall or something, and there was a bench with someone there, and you just sat there and just
Yeah.
started crying. It's just
Yeah.
what would happen.
I was in Times Square.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I mean, so first of all, I love making people uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's my favorite thing in the whole world. I love when people don't react to me. Like if I fall in front of them and they just literally just keep talking.
Yeah.
I just think it shows how selfish and crazy people are.
But do you think it shows how New Yorkers are? Because I was wondering about that, because
Yeah,
what
it's
I've been in New
different.
York a handful of times for my art stuff, and there's some weird ass people there, man. We're
Yeah.
like, that would not fly in Chicago. You get your ass kicked if you did that in Chicago. So I don't
Yeah, I
know.
mean it is different in New York, so it's more fun to post stuff like that because really no one is phased. If you go up and sit next to them and start crying, they're like, okay, whatever, she must be on her lunch break. But I also grew up, so my father was the funniest person I've ever met in my life, and he was a prankster. So every day he'd hide one of my shoes before I went to school. I mean, it drove me crazy, but he was just like, if I followed him in my car and he was in his car, he would drive through people's like circular driveways and I'd follow him through the drive. I mean, he was out of his mind. And I laughed hysterically at him. He was also crazy and intense, and a lot of my comedy comes from my rage towards him.
Mm.
But I grew up with that. I literally grew up with pranking people and being pranked my whole life. So
Yeah.
it's my favorite thing.
Yeah. No, it's awesome. It's watching your comedy that's part of, like, your last special is the crowd reaction. You can tell sometimes they don't know what to do. I love the whole bit, and it's so brilliant and it's annoying at the same time, where you turn around and you start talking, because you know how many people want to do that, like, and you got it. That's your thing. It's so brilliant, because it's like, it's one of the perfect. Did you come up with that on the spot one time where you're like, it wasn't actually going well and you just turned around and started doing it?
Yes. So that's an example. So what, for people listening that don't know, I when something doesn't do great in the show, or I'm in my head about something, like say someone's texting, I'll turn my back to the audience and talk to myself like an inner monologue. Like, it doesn't matter, this person is texting, they can't be present. They're, like I'll have a whole conversation with myself, and usually end with like a funny line.
Yeah.
And it came from, and this is a perfect example. That's not something I'm doing on Zoom.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to turn around in my chair and talk to, I mean, I can, but it's not the same thing as standing on a stage and doing that. But yes, that's exactly what happened. I think years and years and years ago, a joke didn't work, and I literally just turned around and talked to myself. And for years it didn't work, because I realized it has to be at specific times. Like, it only makes sense if a joke doesn't work, or if I feel uncomfortable about something. Because if a joke kills and then I turn around and like, it's okay, you're doing great, it doesn't make sense.
So you don't necessarily have it planned out for every time you do it. It's just okay, man. It's
in
so.
fact, second, if you watch I've done the Tonight Show 3 times, 2 with Leno and 1 with Fallon. And if you watch the one I did in December, last December, I mean, not this past December, but the December before, the booker wanted me to change a line in my act, and I was like, it's not going to work, I'm telling you. And then I kept trying it at the Comedy Cellar, and it wasn't getting laughs. And he's like, well, this is the joke we want you to do. So I did it. I planned with them to turn around once, because you have to tell the director, during my act. And then the joke didn't work, and I turned around a second time. It was not planned. And I said, you knew that joke. If you watch it, you'll see. I said, you knew that joke wasn't going to work, and you did it anyway. Don't sabotage yourself. Like, I had a whole, and of course, he says, that was the best part of your set. It's like, then just trust me to know what I'm doing and what I'm not doing.
Yeah, it's genuine, and that's amazing though. That's so awesome. Excuse me, but that's one of those things, like, for me, I try, like, I've explained this so many times to different people, so I feel like I'm repeating myself to anyone that listens to my podcast, but real briefly, I'll explain for you, is that I had Steve Byrne on my podcast, 2 years ago now, and we just got into comedy, started talking about all kinds of stuff, and he realized how much I loved it, and he said, you know what are you doing? You got to just do comedy. You got to do it. And he said, I'm going to be in Chicago in 6 months at the Chicago Improv. I want you to do 5 minutes for me. And I was like, what the? And I
love
could.
Steve. I've been
Oh, I
friends
know.
since I started.
He's so awesome. And so I did it. I spent the next 5-6 months just writing. And it's something I always wanted to do, was stand up. And so I just, I struggled. I fought with it. It was scary. It was intimidating. But I decided right away, like, I'm just going to write what makes me laugh and what's real. Like, just anything that I experience. I'm not going to make up things or try to copy things, where it's just going to be me and what makes me laugh. And if it makes me laugh, there's got to be something there that I can work on. Mm-hmm. So I just spent like 5-6 months doing that. And then less than a month before I had to open for him, I was able to do only 3 mics to practice.
That's scary. And then you're going to the Improv.
Yeah. And then that was like my first show was at the Improv. But it was one of those experiences that I'll never forget, because it went really well. And he invited me to come back the next couple nights and open again. And I couldn't believe it. And then after that, that's when I couldn't stop. I just started going to all these. So I went from my first real show with Steve Byrne to back to open mics. So it's kind of a strange thing. And then also, I realized real quick that all these open micers are kind of cliquey, and they all know each other, and they've been doing it for years. And all of a sudden this new guy comes in, and it felt like really uncomfortable getting up. It was more uncomfortable getting up in front of them than it was in front of a crowd. But then they started, accepting me a little bit, but it's such a scary process at first, where, I mean, it really is almost like, those terrible dreams you have when you're a kid and you wake up in school when you're underwear. It's like, am I going to totally embarrass myself, or I'm fully exposing myself already? But just do it with a smile and laugh, have fun,
Well, that's a big part of it, is to look confident. Even if you are shitting yourself, you have to look confident. I taught stand up for 12 years, and I would tell everybody, you better look confident from the second you get up there, because if they sense fear, you're in trouble.
Yeah. I usually just, like, if something doesn't go well, I just laugh about it.
Well, that's natural. That's good.
Yeah. Because otherwise it just feels like I try to, like, right away, like, don't apologize. Just like, so, and it's weird how you do something and it works really, really well. I had one set that I did that was like, oh man, I just killed it. And I was so excited. So I found another place to run over real quick, and I did the set again, and it just didn't do well at all. Yeah. It's like, man, weird. What's happening?
Isn't that crazy? I know
it's
that
weird
happens all the time.
Yeah. It's very strange. So when you, how was it that you decided, or you got into doing this? Like, how you said it was 22 years ago or something like that?
Yeah, I was going to school at NYU to get a master's in social work, and it's the typical story. I was always the class clown. I was out of my mind. Everyone that knows me from grade school and junior high school, college is like, of course you're a comedian. I realized the power of humor at a very young age, that I could win people over. And also, when I felt uncomfortable, if I was funny, it made me, made it easier for me to be around people, because I've always been socially awkward. So I was just sitting at a restaurant one day with my family, and my grandmother called me over to her, and she said, you need to be a comedian. Every time you're sitting with people, they're laughing. You make everyone laugh. And I said, I could never do that. I had serious stage fright. Like, I had to go to a therapist and work on phobias. I was I was vomiting before the first time I went on stage. And she said, and I said, I could never do that. And she goes, trust me, I'm your grandmother. I know this is something you need to do. So I looked at the back of a newspaper in New York, the Village Voice, and there was a class. I just saw an ad for a class. And I took the class, and then I fell in love with it. And what I fell in love with the most, honestly, was, I think, the power of being on stage with a microphone, but also that it felt horrible in a lot of ways and uncomfortable. And there was a lot of angst. And I'm like, this is familiar, because I'm a miserable person. So this is completely familiar for me.
It's so awesome hearing that from you, because that's what I like. I like the uncomfortableness, because it pushes me and helps me, like, face things.
Yeah.
And I know you're Jewish and you have a lot of your material is, comes from that, from your upbringing, and it's hilarious. And one thing I was thinking about is like a lot of the people that come to your crowd or your show, a lot of them are Jewish as well, and they get a lot of the jokes a little bit more than maybe some people would, but it's so hilarious and it's so funny and it's so relatable. Whereas like for me, I grew up like hardcore fundamental Christian upbringing, and it's most people don't think there's anything funny about that. But I think there's a lot of funny things
Yeah,
about it,
I do
and
too.
I'm 100% against that now. I'm not that person at all. And so a lot of my material does, like, I think it's really some funny ideas, and I'll get like laughs and groans
Well, that's
because
good.
it's like
You want to get different reactions
you
from
can't
people.
talk about Jesus masturbating, and like, yeah, you can,
No,
yeah,
you can talk about anything you want. Yeah.
exactly. But it seems like from my experience so far is it seems like that the Christian material is just not it's like, for example, I can go up there and talk, I can say, cunt and fuck and pussy and whatever I want to say. I can be dirty, I can whatever. But if I say something about Mary or Jesus, it's way worse. Like, people can't handle that, and it's amazing to me. So I keep pushing it
Yeah,
because
you should. You
it's because
can't
it's
let people
yeah,
silence you. You
yeah,
just can't. And if it's coming from a good place and you know that you're literally just
yeah,
talking about something and it's coming from an innocent place, then it doesn't matter.
yeah,
We know when stuff is coming from a bad place.
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
know, I know when I react to someone and say horrible things to them because they're so rude to me, I feel horrible. And I
hmm,
know that it's not who I am. And I apologize. I feel horrible about it. But if you know that you're just doing it because it's comedy and you're just talking about something and it's not coming from any
yeah,
kind of mean-spirited or evil place, then fuck it. If they don't like it, don't watch your comedy. It's because,
yeah,
by the way, people are getting offended about. I could talk about a turkey sandwich and people
yeah.
will email me and say, "How dare you put down turkey?" I mean, it's fucking insane now what people are getting
Yeah,
upset
that's what I mean. It's like I have an AIDS baby joke um, that I did, and it did really well. Half the people, well, a lot of people laughed, but then later the guy that does the place was like, let's not do the AIDS baby joke. It's a little, it's like, this is supposed to, the whole idea is basically that, my parents don't understand why I don't believe in God anymore. And I tell them it's real simple. There's things like ALS, cancer, boobs, and I do a whole thing about that. And then my mom says, well, what about the beautiful smiles of babies? And I just say, like, I love the laughter of babies, especially the ones with AIDS, and it's just,
yeah, I get it.
yeah. And it's just
Yeah.
like, it's an obvious, like, I'm trying to show how silly
Right, you're not making fun of, you're actually saying that it's horrible. And
yeah,
that
exactly. I'm
I,
not,
I get it.
but for some reason, the reaction was, yeah, let's just not talk about AIDS babies. And it's like, did you not understand what I said? Like, I'm not,
Well, I could talk about my lifestyle and people get, that I'm married to a woman and whatever, and then people judge. I'm like, it's my life. I'm allowed to talk. I can talk about whatever I
it's
want.
so
But
weird.
it
It's,
is, well, it's weird, but it's not. You know what? I think some people are so confused and they're literally just getting offended by everything. I'm not
yeah.
kidding. I've never, it is so, I get it with certain things. Like,
Mhm.
I used to have this joke, um, when I was 100 pounds heavier, and this homeless guy in New York would always ask me for food. And I'm like, me out of all people, like, it's like, and then I would say, it's like asking a paraplegic for a piggyback ride, and I did it, and this woman came up to
uh,
me, and I always felt a little weird doing it. I don't know why, because I'm not sent, but it just internally I felt a little weird. And this woman was like, my son is a paraplegic, and I think it's funny, but like it just brought up, and I swear from that day forward I never did it again. But not because she told me not to, just because I re-examined it and it never felt fully comfortable anyway. But I would never stop doing something because someone told me to.
yeah. Yeah, it's one of those, like I said, like I feel like a newborn in all this stuff. So
Yeah.
but I also, I'm 43. I've lived life. I've done a lot of things, and I also kind of don't care what
Yeah.
other people think. I think it's in
Yeah.
one way I feel like, hey, most comics that are my age have been doing it for like 20 years or something, but I can't help that anymore. It is what it is now. And so I don't have that like I think I'm kind of at that point in my life where I don't care about a lot of things anyway. So
Yeah, I
I
don't either. I
yeah,
mean, especially when you have kids and you have so many kids, you just don't, who cares? We have
yeah,
so much to worry about at home. And like, honestly,
yeah,
that's all that matters is my family and my friends, really my family. So it's like, I have what I need. And I don't, a lot of people's opinions are about their own personal shit.
hmm
Like, if I do something and someone goes, that's racist, you're being a fucking racist, I'm like, do you like yourself? Are you okay with your skin color? Are you, because
yeah,
I'm fine with it. Like,
yeah,
this isn't even mean, it's not racist, there's nothing, but
yeah,
maybe you need to work on accepting yourself more and loving yourself more, and then I won't trigger you so much.
yeah, exactly. And
It's really
yeah,
the truth. Because when had a very hard time with being gay, which I did for many years, many,
hmm
until I got married and had kids and said, I got to deal with this because I don't want my kids to ever feel bad about it or weird or
yeah,
something's wrong. Um, when people would make gay jokes or whatever, I would really freak out or even just say
mm,
anything. I could because I had so much shame around it.
mm,
And once I became okay with it, it just things don't bother me a lot anymore.
yeah. Well, I mean, I can imagine. I mean, I got picked on for being an artist, and it was like it was weird because it was just like I think art's cool, you know. And so I mean,
So cool.
like, but as a kid in high school, in my school,
Right.
it was like I was the trash, you know, and it was like
Yeah.
so weird because I was like, man, no, I love drawing and painting, and it's a cool thing, um so I can understand that a little bit to the extent where um I mean I went to high school in the 90s
Mhm.
and it was okay to say faggot to everybody.
Of course. It
And
still is a lot of the time.
well, like then it was like even teachers said it.
Yeah.
And I remember just being like I was called an art fag all the time.
Hmm.
And I was bullied and picked on. I was all kind, it was not fun. It was a really bad experience. But I remember thinking the whole time, like, because I had a friend who was gay, and it was one of those things where um he, he called me an art fag. And I remember one day like just feeling like so down about it. Like am I gay? Like I remember
Yeah,
having
you're
like
like,
that.
everyone's calling me gay. Am I gay? Yeah.
Yeah, I remember like having this thought, like, wait a minute. And I'm thinking like maybe I am. And I'm like, wait a minute. No, I definitely like girls. Like this is weird. Why are people doing this to me? But I remember that feeling, and I can only imagine just like on your end of it, just like that's just got to be so rough to be just because of who you can't choose who you are. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Well, why would anyone choose it anyway? That's always
Exactly.
such a
But
dumb thing to say.
it is.
You're choosing. Why would I choose to have a harder life? Why would I choose
Yeah.
to not be able to walk down the street holding my wife's hand? Why would I choose to
Well,
be
hey, the
ridiculed?
way that I was brought up, you're not born that way, okay?
No, I
You're like-
know.
you're
I
you're
know.
you're a sinner, okay?
I know. I know. Well,
Saints.
it's really thank God it's gotten better.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
But it's a I don't even know if you know this, but my mother is an art therapist. So I grew up
Oh
around a
wow,
lot of art stuff. So my
that's
my
awesome.
mom I love that you're an artist and of course you're incredibly brilliant. It's insane.
Oh,
But
thank you.
my mom art was very much a part of my life because of her. I mean, I was
Yeah,
never like, good at it, but I'm just saying like she brought it into my life a lot.
yeah,
And when you're talking, I grew up in the 80s, but when you're talking about the art thing, it's like I was thinking back and I'm like, yeah, the art kids were made fun of. Like it you just reminded
yeah.
me of that.
And I was like, I would come to school wearing a trench coat for no reason, or
Yeah.
like, I, you know, oh gosh, what's that movie Johnny Depp is in, where he dresses all weird the whole time? I can't remember the name of that movie right now, but that's kind of like I just try different things and
Yeah.
um
You were just artistic,
yeah,
period.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it was just weird. And my brother was like the opposite. He was a total jock, and
Yeah, of course.
like and he had all the friends, and his friends picked on me, and and he was my little brother. So it was just even more weird. But yeah, I think though, do you think that sort of your struggles had a lot of play on the fact that you do. I mean, I kind of feel like, I guess what I'm trying to say is I kind of feel like, for me personally, my struggles are how I get through with my art, with my, even the comedy. It's a way for me to just kind of not escape, but like, it molded me, I think, in a way,
Yeah.
where I can,
Yeah.
I can kind of, it kind of helped me anyways to forget about whatever everyone else is doing, because, this is, I am a good person. I am a cool person. I am this, where like you kind of feel like it's a way for you. It's like self-therapy in a way, I guess, what I'm trying to say.
It
Like,
is. It
yeah,
is therapy.
yeah.
Of course, it's a way to express yourself and
It's a
deal with.
long way of trying to say something very simple. Sorry.
No, but it's really true. I mean, when I'm angry or sad, like I would go right up on stage. And I remember when my stepfather passed, like 3 years, about 2 years ago, and I went from the Shiva to the Comedy Cellar and did a set. And I
Jeez.
literally for 10 minutes talked about the Shiva, and people were screaming, laughing. And I was just ranting about how annoying people were and
Yeah.
coming up right to my face with fish all over their faces, and people were hysterical. And it was so therapeutic for me to deal with
Yeah.
his death, to like try and just make a joke about life and the loss.
Yeah.
It's so helpful.
Yeah. I think, um, it's interesting because I was talking with, I talked with Darren Brown last week, who is, I don't know if you know who he's like this, British illusionist, an artist. And he was talking about something very similar about how, he was sort of picked on and kind of like, he felt like the outsider when he was a kid as well. But he said something that was really interesting about the creative types are like, we're the ones that end up like doing something interesting, whether we like it or not, because it's like we can't stop but or help but do something or express
Yeah.
ourselves in some way. And I feel like even when you, like during this, I don't know how many of the videos, I can't tell sometimes if some of the videos that you post, like on Instagram, for example, are new videos or whatever.
Yeah. Well, a lot will say filmed pre-COVID.
Oh,
That's
okay,
a lot.
okay, okay,
Or repost or something. Yeah.
okay. Well, I was going to say that it's like you seem to be like one of those people who, no matter what, you're not stopping. Like you can't stop. Like you seem like, I mean, that's the one thing I love about it too, is like you'll be in a parking lot of a grocery store and you'll just start like doing some crazy rant thing that it's hilarious, or like singing a song on the radio, but it doesn't stop. And I feel like, sometimes it's weird. Like people don't understand that. People don't see how, like, I got grounded when I was a kid for drawing too much. My dad, grounded me because he took me to the movie theater and I brought my sketchbook into the movie theater and I was drawing in the movie theater, and he grounded me because he was like, that's too much. I was 2 weeks without drawing.
Oh.
Because it was like, but I was not doing well in my schoolwork. I was drawing on my school
Yeah.
papers and I was just so obsessed. But like, I think we as artists can't help sometimes but to, like, wherever you go, and I found myself even during this whole thing where I can't do comedy, doing stand-up for strangers outside, that they don't even realize I'm doing stand-up to them,
Right.
like at the grocery store, or I go get some wine and the guy at the wine store. Every time I go get wine from the wine store by my house, I try to see what I could do or say to make them laugh. And
Oh,
it's
that's
like,
sweet.
but it's
Yeah.
like it's kind of like that's my way of doing it now. If I
Yeah.
can.
Because it makes us happy to see other people. Like when I did a show last night, yeah, it was a Zoom show. It sucked. It was hard to try material, but I saw some people dying laughing, and I'm like, oh God, this feels good to see
Yeah.
people have some laughter. Really, it made me feel good.
Yeah, that's one of the greatest feelings in the world. I call it collecting laughs. Like it's the best feeling. And like whenever you can do it, and that's the funny thing. Like I wanted to talk with one of my guests about this, because I talked to Brad Garrett we were talking about some of the similar things. And ever since I can remember, when I was a little kid, I would do whatever I could to make people laugh. And there was this, because we grew up really religious, and there was this couple that would come with my family after church on Sunday. We would always go to a Taco Bell, and this guy had breathing problems, and I thought it was the funniest thing in the world because if I'd get him to laugh, he would almost die. And
I
he
know
would,
what you mean. Yeah.
yeah, he would just be wheezing and he'd be
Yeah.
like, stop. And I would say the most inappropriate things because I know
Yeah.
that what makes them uncomfortable because they were super religious. And so I would
Yeah.
say crazy stuff. And sometimes he would literally have to take his asthma thing out and everything. And it sounds so kind of morbid looking back, but I mean, you can look at it one way, like I was trying to kill this guy.
No,
Or
you knew that
it was great.
you were making someone laugh like that.
Oh yeah.
And it was uncomfortable. It all makes sense. I love that too.
It's the best, man. I just love it so much. You know, you gotta go in like little less than 20 minutes. So there was one thing I did want to bring up, and I don't know if this is even anything that's in your you know what you want to do, or if you've even offered this or anything. But I've always wondered ever since I was turned on to your comedy. I was always thinking about Saturday Night Live with you, if that was ever something that you if you even care about it, or if that's something you would want to do, because
That was my dream. That was
okay.
my dream since I'm a little kid. That was all I wanted to do. And that was like when I was in stand-up for years. I came close to getting on Mad TV many years ago, and it was amazing. And I still would kill to be. I mean, I'm probably too old now, and this is
Nonsense.
well, maybe this is the funny thing, and you're gonna laugh, but it's really true. They have a heavy woman on there. I mean, it's all cast. They have an Asian guy. They have a couple black people. I mean, this is how that
You
show.
got the proper amount. Yeah.
Exactly. So I'm not saying I couldn't do it. I'm just saying it was my dream. But then I also have heard like horrible stories from so many people who have been on that show.
Shame.
That it's like people who have been cast members have told me nightmare stories, and I'm like, oh, I don't even know if I want to do this.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what I was wondering. I mean, I brought it up mostly just because if I'm being honest, like I'm pretty judgmental about it. Like I'll watch an episode and I'm like, there's maybe one good skit or whatever.
It should be better.
And
it should be a lot better.
And that's what I was gonna say is like, I can't imagine like first of all, if you were on the show, like I'll watch like a bit, and I've talked with my wife about this. My wife's a big fan of yours as well, and I'll be like, if Jessica was in that skit, okay. There's no way you wouldn't be dying laughing right now, because how are those lines delivered that way? Or it could have been way funnier, just even the expressions, like, and so, you know, I was just curious if that was even something that you were, you know, interested in, because I think you would just kill it on that show. It'd almost be a distraction, because I have a feeling they would have to hold you back a little bit, because
thank you. That's very sweet. I mean, yes, I can put effort into trying to get seen for the show and get into, you know, someone. It's I don't know. I don't know what they're thinking half the time. I mean, there's people on that show who are absolutely brilliant, like Kate McKinnon. I mean, there's people who are just unreal, and it's like they don't use them to their potential. The writing sometimes is like, who's writing this? Like lawyers, this is not funny. I don't know. I mean, I have friends who write for the show and people who are in the show, and I'm just surprised it's not funnier sometimes. But then again, it has to go through the producers, the head writers, Lauren Michael. You know, it's like, it's never just, supposedly they're shown so many different sketches, and they choose which ones are going to go on air.
Yeah. I'm blanking on his name right now. But I was going to just say, like recently that he might be a friend of yours, a comic that was ripped off by them.
Ted.
Yeah. I wonder what's going to happen with that.
I know. I didn't see. I need to watch it.
Yeah, I saw it. It was definitely. They did a what's that home company that sells? It's like, I can't remember what that's called either. I'm not awake yet.
I know. I never remember anything.
But anyways, they did this skit about you know, people in their 30s that start to
Zillow?
Yeah. Zillow, is that what it is with the Z?
I don't know. I just made that up.
It's something like that. But basically, you know, instead of fantasizing about sex, it like, you know, calling in for sex talkers on the phone, you're talking about like buying homes instead and property, and you show each other property, and that gets you off basically. And that
Right.
was what his bit is way funnier, but I mean, it's really, really, really close. It's almost, and so it was interesting because I was thinking about the fact that that's what a bold and crazy thing to do, because a lot of the writers at SNL, I'm sure they go to the comedy clubs all the time. Some of them
Why
probably
would
do
have to?
stand up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're there and you hear these bits, and then you bring it back to the, you don't have an idea. So you just borrow something, it's dangerous waters, I think.
Well, that happens
Like,
to big stand-up comics a lot, where, like I said in the beginning about Ellen, like they'll hire all these writers who are also comics or hang out in the comedy clubs, and they might hear a bit,
yeah.
give it to Joe Schmo, who's a famous comedian, and then Joe Schmo has no idea it's been done before, and he just does it on a special, and then he's called a joke thief.
Oh,
It's
geez.
like, it's a tricky thing, because
Yeah.
I can see how sometimes it's not the person's fault who does it in a special, that they have people out, writing for them and stuff, and they don't know that that joke's been done before.
Now, how does that seems so? Okay, I understand the Ellen thing, because it may. I was wondering about that, because I was like, how in the world does she do that if she doesn't work out the material?
Mhm.
But like, you write all your material, I'm assuming. So it seems like you
Yeah,
do.
I mean,
So
sometimes I'll give, like, friends will say to me, I would love to write some stuff, give me some ideas, and then they'll maybe help me hash it out, or
yeah,
I mean, again, most of my stuff comes from ideas that I write down and I just talk about on stage, and then it becomes a bit.
but it's one of
And
those
I'm, like,
things.
written out.
It's one of those things though that where I guess what I was wondering is like they're so personal. They're
Yeah, I
so
was just
you.
gonna say that it's
You
different for me.
Yeah, and
I
it
I
takes a
have
while
to,
to come
yeah,
up with it. Like
yeah,
you might say something one night because something you experienced, but then it might take years of developing that same
yeah,
bit until you have it just right, and then you do a special, like your last one, and then you just got to start all over, right?
yeah. I think
I mean,
it's more tricky for people who write jokes, like set up punch jokes,
mm,
one-liners, that kind of thing.
okay,
I think for people like me and probably you, it's so personal that it would never be stealing, because it's about my life. Like,
yeah.
it's,
I mean, I can see. I don't know. Like it's so funny because I've gone to, like I said, the open mics, and I it's such a weird, awkward thing. And I know you had to do it, but
oh
I
my
mean,
God, I did
like,
thousands of them. When I'm not
yeah,
even exaggerating, I did
is it?
that, like, it was insane.
But it's weird. It's weird now because I mean, I'm not saying it's not the same thing, but like I think, like I go to the open mics and like it's weird, like sitting in front of like mic after mic and listening to these guys, and
It's the
like,
same. It
oh,
was the same thing in 2000.
but you can tell like I can tell like um because of, I think, with all the social media stuff and different things like podcasts and listening to
Yeah,
comedians, and like I can tell they're being somebody else, or
yeah,
you,
yeah,
you can see that they're like, oh wait a minute, I heard that exact same thing when I was listening to your mom's house.
yeah.
Like,
Or they're taking on someone's cadence or whatever. Yeah, I
yeah,
mean, for sure.
yeah, I'm just, but like the other thing too is like what I think what you were touching base on is just the whole open mic thing is so weird, because you're just, there's not very many, in my opinion, that seem like comics. They're
Mhm.
just, it's like this weird thing, like they're up there, I don't know what you're talking about, what you're saying, and I think every comic probably feels the same way, because they're just waiting for like, okay, 15 more until I get to go, and then
I know, it's
you know,
crazy.
such a weird,
It's so weird.
awkward. But anyways, I know you don't have much more time left, and I really appreciate your time. But before we
So
go,
good to be
I
here.
wanted to there's fan art that people did,
Oh,
and I
wow.
wanted to make sure that you saw it before we end this. So I'm gonna share my screen real quick, and
Great.
I think you'll have a laugh at this. So let me know if you see this.
Oh, I love that. Wow, you guys are unreal. Like, this is amazing.
This is by Patrick Gruber, by the way.
That is unbelievable. I love it.
I'll I'll email these to you. I don't know if I might have emailed some of them. I can't remember.
No, I never got these, but I
Oh,
love.
okay.
I've seen that's amazing
Here you
too.
go. This one is by Dominic Zeilinger.
Wow. Yeah, if you can send me the names, I'll repost. I love them. Wow.
Yeah, this one's great. This guy, he's actually an artist from Austria, and I every single time he sends stuff in, he's always
That's
pushing
amazing.
himself with design. So it's really fun to see what he's gonna do. This one
Oh
is
my God.
this is by Walid Shihab. Now this one's a little different. I don't know. I'm not used to the hairstyle. But maybe that's from some old reference or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah, yes, but it is interesting. I mean, it's just they're so, I know you're used to all this stuff, but it's so fascinating to me. I love it. Yeah, I mean, it kind of looks like me and it doesn't. It's weird.
Yeah, there's something, but that's why I was wondering if it was from like a different time
Yeah,
of
might
the
have been.
reference.
Hmm.
This one
Oh my
cracks me up.
God, that's amazing.
This is by Pierre Prigent. Um,
Oh
and,
my God.
and so you see the expression on the far right.
Yeah.
That's the expression that next time some woman pulls up to you and flips you off, just do that. And I
Yeah,
think
well, that's the old Jewish women. That's this.
yeah, just do that and be like, "Are you kidding me?" And
Oh, this is amazing. Do
it'll
they,
freak you
can
out.
I repost these with
Yeah,
the person?
yeah, yeah,
Okay, this is that's unreal.
yeah. I'll send them all to you with their
Yeah.
names and stuff. This one right. This
Oh
is
my
by,
God.
this is
Look at the
David.
eyeballs.
Yeah, great. David Tesser did this one. Tesser.
Amazing.
Yeah, that's another thing I really love about your comedy is it's a huge, and you know what, you kind of, I'm a very expressionate person as well.
Hmm.
And that's one thing that I learned from watching your stuff is don't be afraid to use your face.
No,
Like,
people
you
love
know,
that.
oh yeah. If you got it, you flaunt it. Use
They
it.
love expression. Wow, that's amazing.
This is by Jacques Lemonnier.
The
Um,
eyebrows. Oh my God.
very Jack Nicholson-ish in this one.
Yes, it is.
It's very yeah, it's like the Shining here going
It
on.
is.
That's the last one here.
Awesome. I
Um,
love them. Thank you so much.
yeah, I thought it's always fun to share because I don't know even from week to week who's going to send what or what they're going to be, so it's always kind of fun. But uh, I know you got to go real quick. Again, I just want to thank you so much.
Thank
You
you.
know, to me, this is like I listen to a lot of podcasts. I listen. By the way, whoever's listening to this, check out Jessica's podcast. Relatively Sane is what it's called.
Yes. And I have a
And
new one too called Disgusting Hawk, which you need to watch.
oh, okay, I'll
You
definitely
need to
watch that.
watch that on YouTube. You're gonna freak out. It's all characters. I interview
Oh,
comics in character.
oh, definitely, I
You're
definitely.
gonna love it.
Disgusting Hawk is what it's called.
Yeah,
Okay.
Disgusting Hawk.
And so everyone, please check those out. But you know, so I've heard you on lots of different podcasts, and I was like, man, I've heard everything before from her because you know, like I said, I'm a big. I think I first heard of you a few years ago. You did Your Mom's House.
Yeah. Hmm.
And then I had to look everything up on you because you're just so funny.
Thank you.
So I really appreciate you coming on here and having a genuine conversation because I wanted to kind of have a conversation that was just more just personal and something that I can relate to. Being with, I'm so new at the comedy thing, so I appreciate you humoring me on that because
Of course.
I like I said, like I'm pretty picky when it comes to the arts of what I like, and again, I'm not trying to blow smoke up your ass, but you're one of those comedians that I always hear comics talk about. You can't follow Jessica.
Yeah.
Even Bill Burr says he's the one that produced your special, I think, right?
Yes, you did. Yep.
Yeah, I think I heard him talking about that, and I'm like, and Bill Burr is one of my favorite comics, and so for Bill
Right.
Burr to even say that too, it's like, but again, I actually feel that intimidation when I see your stuff because I'm just like, oh, it's just so awesome. So
Thank you.
I would just say thanks for inspiring me, and anybody else that's not familiar, gotta watch it because it's the best. It's awesome.
Thank you.
So anyways, thank you so much. I really
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. And thank you everyone for watching, and we'll see y'all next week.
Thanks, Jason.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Like, did she just say she's from New Jersey? What part of New Jersey? Do you think she knows the Eisensteins?
Because I get depressed too. You know, I'm normally in dark colors. My friend said to me the other day, "Why do you always wear black?" And I'm like, "Oh, because I feel great about my body and I'm filled with hope."
Like, did she just say she's from New Jersey?
I mean, I have a master's in social work and now I'm a traveling clown. It's okay, Jessica. You really are talented. You are. And you need to stop putting yourself down. You deserve success. It's all gonna be okay. You need to stop eating salads in public. You're not fooling anyone. I do a lot of shows in Florida for very old people. Most of them are 80, 90, some have passed. And
Like, did she just say she's from New Jersey? What part of New Jersey? Do you think she knows the Eisensteins?
But did she just say she's from New Jersey?
The test came back negative. I'm gonna live.
You want answers? Find the truth shall set you free. I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.